παραγωγική με το EASTN Network και θα έχουμε λίγο συνέχεια. Θα κάνω ένα μικρό interview να μας εξηγήσει λίγο ο κύριος Μiguel, να συζητήσουμε για το βιβλιογραφικό του. Είναι λίγο πολύ όλο το computer music και το όλο το ηλεκτρονικό μουσική από τη δεκαετία του 70 και πέρα. Και θα έχουμε και, άμα θέλετε να κάνετε εσείς ερωτήματα, 5-10 λεπτά, θα συνεχίσουμε. Εντάξει. So I introduce you and you can tell us a little bit more how you started and what are you using people that you...
Well, thank you very much for coming and thank you for inviting me. Well, this performance somehow is so far among all the things I did. Mostly I'm writing the music, but it happens that I'm also a poet, and so this performance is the one that I've been probably more, in a more autobiographical way, I've been combining the two things. So most of the texts are pretty abstract, so what interests me is the operations upon the text itself, and in terms of staging, it's a performance about itself. So it's a kind of fiction situated on stage with no plot, just kind of course, if you could understand all the languages that I've been using, from Portuguese to German, through French and English, it could help to understand a couple of things. But I pretend that this performance is not just about sound, and about emotions, and about communication of feelings, whatever. So it's pretty crazy, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, and you also combine poetry with music, with the interjection of Mallarmé, and going all the way to Stockhausen and Itinerary.
Yeah.
You made some very interesting people. Can you tell the story?
Well, the story is too long because I'm already not anymore that long. So the story is becoming very long. But indeed, you know, I started, in fact, I had a lot of different musical experiences. So I played Baroque music as a flute player, I played drums, jazz, improvisation, I played and percussion. I was playing at the opera orchestra in Lisbon. Then I started with Azquime, the Miso ensemble or an ensemble for chamber music, and then we developed many other things. In the meantime, I kept writing poetry, but poetry and music were kept completely separate until a moment when I wrote a piece in Old Chinese, so in the Taoist, an old Taoist text 300 years before Christ, and suddenly I realized that the Chinese, especially the Old Chinese, where they do not combine characters, just one sound, one meaning, they have no conflict between the phonetic and the semantic aspect. So we do have in our languages, no matter if it's Greek, Russian or Latin language based, it's every time we take it to music, we destroy the meaning because we start prolonging new iterations and things like that, and completely. So when you go to an opera, usually you have subtitles. And so this was so shocking, this idea that you could make chords of meaning with the Chinese language, that I start to develop a kind of way of integration, ruling the poetry through music. So for me, when I write a text, it's I don't want it to be purely phonetic, just not only vocal sounds, but somehow to discover a meaning between the operations, the abstract operations I do in text. If I tell in Portuguese, for instance, a sentence like I was doing, a essência presente, presente do autor, ausente, sem som, sempre, it has a meaning. It means the presence, the essence of the presence of the absent author fills 100 sounds 100 times always. So it has a meaning. Most of the times the things I write, I don't understand anything about what I'm writing. And I like it. So then it's something, it's a world that I can discover. It's like with music. You know, once I was at the Warsaw Open Festival, and someone was asking me, told me, I was a student of Witold Lutosławski, and we always told the students to write the music you have in your heads. You hear inside. And so I answered, well, the problem is, I want to write the music that I never heard. So it's not possible. I cannot have heard it inside myself. So I need to discover it. So for poetry it's the same. And somehow, at times I was regulating this kind of poetry. So writing mostly phonetically, so to speak, but with a meaning. I start really to combine, and so I wrote a couple of operas, you know, where this combination, where when I write the text, all the texts are by my own. I cannot say there is a libretto. Libretto comes upon the work, upon the dramaturgy, it's just poems. But those poems, they are already music, so that's a little bit the idea. So somehow, instead of having this separation, so if you understand, it's okay. If you don't, it's okay too, because for many of the things I'm writing, I don't understand myself. So if I don't understand, why should you understand? Maybe you understand better than me, then please tell me, explain me. So that's the way it works. So is there any question? Would you like to know about anything? Well, I will talk about technology because technology is to be hidden. Yes?
How come you decided to use so many languages in order to make this?
Well, the thing is, I'm Portuguese, but I was raised in a French school in Lisbon for political reasons. And so already there I have two mother languages. So I started learning French at the age of 3, and I did all my education in France, in French. Then I went to Paris Conservatoire to study music, percussion. So I have a very strong connection with that. Then English is kind of a new Esperanto, you know, so you have no choice. It's English. And it happened that I love languages. I wish I could speak Greek because I find it's one of the most beautiful languages I've ever heard. It's absolutely amazing. And it's a wonder for me to listen when you are talking. Although, I can say Calimera, Calimista, but that's it. I stop there. And German, I was reading in, it's a very beautiful language. And German is a language that is very special in the sense that, probably, I don't know if you know, probably you know, they can combine words and create crazy words, completely crazy words about anything you would like to invent. So I think it's one of the only languages that allows you to invent the language completely, but still corresponding to the proper rules. And so using German, I was living in Berlin for 6 years also, and maybe because of that. I finished this piece. This piece took like 7 years to be under development. And I finished it while I was as a composer in resident of the EASTN-DC, the Kunsthof program in Berlin, so probably this influenced me. But since then, I like very much the idea of being multilingual, you know, and writing multilingual pieces. And in fact, although I do not master German, I do not master English, I have no problems about writing in English or German, because I'm doing music, so you know, probably if there are mistakes, those mistakes do not count because it's music. It's about sound. So I wish I could use other languages. And in some pieces when I have pre-recorded material, many times, I have an opera where I'm using like 20 different languages. I don't know why, because it's beautiful and I like the sounds, different sounds. And it's also a tribute. I really believe in the citizenship of the world, so it's a tribute to everyone.
So next year, we hope that you come in May when our festival, not this year,
We'll see.
next year, and have a workshop.
Okay, with pleasure. Anyway, it was great to be here. Thank you so much. Is there anything else? Thank you.